Hello everyone. As you already know from the title of this video, in this video we will talk about three pairs of confusing words that often confuse you. No matter how different they are, you still find them pretty confusing when they are used in sentences. So the first pair of words we have is averse and adverse. Now let's first talk about adverse. By definition, you can say it means preventing success or development. It means something that is harmful or unfavorable to you. It's opposed or contrary to one's own desires. Basically, it's something that works against you. I'm sure you already know the word adversary. It's actually the noun of adverse. And as you know, adversary means an opponent or a rival, someone who is literally trying to hamper your growth or your development. So, adverse means something that is harmful or unfavorable to you. One thing you need to know here is that adverse doesn't really take any prepositions. In fact, it is used to describe or attribute things or conditions or effects or impacts. I'm sure you have heard of expressions like adverse conditions or adverse effects. So let's take a couple of example sentences. For example, the adverse weather conditions forced them to stay longer than they expected. The adverse weather conditions forced them to stay longer than they expected. Or you can also say, some medications can have severe adverse effects on some people more than others. Some medications can have severe adverse effects on some people more than others. As you can see, adverse here literally means something that is harmful to you, something that is harmful to your health. Let's take another example sentence. You can also say, the stock market literally shows the adverse effects of the pandemic. The stock market literally shows the adverse effects of the pandemic. Of course it does, doesn't it? Anyway, now let's talk about averse. Averse actually means having a strong feeling of dislike, and opposition to something, a particular distaste. Also, one more thing you need to remember here is that averse is usually followed by the preposition to. And unlike adverse, averse is actually used to talk about people or feelings or attitude. Let's take a couple of example sentences. For example, both of them seemed equally averse to the idea of eating outside. Both of them seemed equally averse to the idea of eating outside. Basically, both of them do not want to eat outside. Or you can also say, he was more averse to going out in the blizzard than staying in the shady hotel. He was more averse to going out in the blizzard than staying in the shady hotel. Basically, he preferred to stay in the shady hotel instead of going out and face the blizzard. Now let's take two sentences that will make things clear forever. You won't be able to confuse with them ever again, even if you try to. The first one is, she seemed averse to the opinion that cold drinks have adverse effects. She seemed averse to the opinion that cold drinks have adverse effects. I'm sure by now you understand exactly what averse and adverse mean. Averse means she is opposed to the opinion, and adverse is harmful effects. So you can say in a way that every time you find the words averse to, you can replace it with opposed to, and they will mean exactly the same. Opposed to and averse to. Always remember that. Also, you can replace adverse with harmful. Everywhere you find adverse, just replace it with harmful and it will mean exactly the same. So the next time you find these words, there is no need to confuse with them. You know what? Let's take another example anyway. For example, adverse events in the past made people averse to living so close to the natural reserve. Adverse events in the past made people averse to living so close to the natural reserve or nature reserve or wildlife sanctuary, whatever it is you call it. But I hope by now it's all clear. In fact, averse is a word that is often used with other words in pair like risk averse or debt averse. Basically, people who don't like to take risk are called risk averse, and people who don't like to take debt, don't like the idea of taking debt, they are called debt averse. Anyway, let's move on to the next pair of words. They are avenge and revenge. Now, avenge means to take vengeance or seek retribution on behalf of somebody or something else. For example, he swore to avenge his father. He swore to avenge his father. Basically, something wrong happened with his father, and now he wants to take vengeance. He wants to avenge his father. Basically, avenge everything that happened wrong with him. Let's take another one. They returned to the place as they had insults to avenge. They returned to the place as they had insults to avenge. Basically, they were insulted by some people or someone else, and now they need to avenge that. Anyway, that's all about avenge. Now let's talk about revenge. Now, revenge is retribution against someone, or in simple words, punish someone who had done something wrong in the past. For example, it was his desire to take revenge that kept him alive. It was his desire to take revenge that kept him alive. Now, this sentence is pretty self-explanatory. Let's take another example. She sought revenge even when she was struggling to survive. She sought revenge even when she was struggling to survive. Now, that's all about avenge and revenge, and from the example sentences and from the definitions, it's still pretty unclear what's the difference between the two. So if I simply lay it all down, it's safe to say that avenge is often used as a verb and revenge is often used as a noun. Now, it's not that you can't use them otherwise, as other parts of speech in a sentence, but avenge, as I said, avenge is often used as a verb and revenge is used as a noun, and they mean the same. Avenge means to take vengeance, and revenge means to, of course, vengeance. Revenge is vengeance. Also, there's one small thing to mention here. I'm not sure how useful it will be, but I think I should mention it anyway. That is, avenge kind of has this a certain righteous feel to it. Basically it means to fight for something that is worthy of it, for a worthy cause. I'm sure you already know Avengers. I mean, they are not called the Revengers, they are called the Avengers. They're basically fighting for a cause. They're fighting for something that is rightful. But revenge can be both, it can be positive and negative, but somehow it is usually considered negative. Avenge is somewhat positive with the righteous feel to it, but then revenge is somehow considered negative. It's often considered as a mere payback. I think that's enough difference between the two, and it's easier, it's safer to use them like this, to use avenge as the verb and to use revenge as the noun. So yeah, that's all about it, and I hope I kind of made things clear. Anyway, let's move on to the next pair of confusing words. They are confident and confidant. Now, confident means having confidence in oneself, having confidence in one's own abilities or one's own qualities. Basically, you are very sure of something, you are self-assured, you are self-reliant, you are certain about something, you are full of conviction. Now, example sentence for confident can be, she seemed so confident as she walked onto the stage. She seemed so confident as she walked onto the stage. Or you can also say, he seemed quiet but confident that things will get better. He seemed quiet but confident that things will get better. Basically, he wasn't making any noise, he was quiet, but at the same time confident enough. He was sure that things will get better. Now, confidant, on the other hand, is actually a person that you can confide in. You can share all your secrets with them. You can trust them with your secrets. It's someone you can call your best friend. Now, if you use it in a sentence, you can say, within a few years in the place, he became a trusted confidant. Within a few years in the place, he became a trusted confidant. In another example, you can also say, her brother is not only her best friend, but her only confidant. Her brother is not only her best friend, but her only confidant. Now, there is another thing about this word, that is, if you add an E at the end, it is pronounced the same way, it is pronounced as confidant, but if you add an E at the end, it is used to describe a female trusted friend, and the one without the E is used to describe a male trusted friend. Now, I'm not sure if it's that easy to discriminate between the two. In fact, I've seen and read sentences that use the same, confidant without the E, the one without the E, for both male and female trusted friends. And I can say that the one with E at the end is not in use right now. So you can use the one without the E everywhere. You can use it for both male and female trusted friends. So of course it only makes things easier because you don't have to even remember the one with E at the end. But anyway, it's a word that you must know because as I said, they are both the same and mean the same. So there is no point in discriminating between the two. You can use confidant without E at the end for any kind of trusted friend, irrespective of their gender. So that's it for today, guys. That's it for this video. I hope the 3 pairs of confusing words that we discussed in this video will be of use to you in future. You will be using these in your spoken and written English because it is important to use words in your English, to be able to become more fluent. And I hope it is useful to you, and if it was, then give it a like and consider subscribing to my channel. That would mean a lot. It will literally make my day. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.